What you hear first is not the silence. It is the absence of a sound you never noticed. The background hum of a billion machines talking to each other just stops. And for about 7 seconds, nothing seems wrong. Then a commercial airliner somewhere over the Midwest loses its data link, and a pilot who was sipping coffee suddenly has to fly the plane like it is 1975. At the exact same moment, a Wall Street trading floor freezes, not because anyone shouted, but because every screen went gray and every headset went silent. The internet does not fizzle or flicker, it just is not there anymore. Here is what actually happens, hour by hour, when the world goes offline. The first thing that breaks is not what you expect. It is not social media. It is not streaming. It is emergency response. In the first 5 minutes, every 911 call center in the country still works, because those systems have analog fallbacks. But no one can route a call across districts, which means if the nearest ambulance is 2 towns over, good luck finding it. Nick Gurr has a heart attack at 9:03 a.m., reaches for his phone, and discovers he is about to die in the only decade that forgot how to shout for help without a touchscreen. That is not a joke. Modern cellular networks rely on internet backbones to complete calls, and voice over LTE is just data with a nicer name. Without the internet, your smartphone becomes a very flat brick with a flashlight. The immediate killer is time. A cardiac arrest gives you about 4 minutes before brain damage begins. Ambulance dispatch times in a fully connected city average 7 minutes. Right now, dispatch is guessing. The first hour looks like a bad movie, but smells like reality. Hospitals are the next domino, and they fall silently. Electronic health records vanish. No one can pull up your allergies, your blood type, your medication list. Nurses who have never written on paper suddenly have to do math in their heads for drip rates. Surgery schedules evaporate. Lab results cannot be sent. And the medication dispensing cabinets, those giant digital vending machines of life-saving drugs, lock into place because they cannot authenticate a single user. Doctors are not treating patients anymore. They are guessing on human lives with a notepad, which is a bold return to 18th century medicine, but with better lighting. The death rate inside a 21st century hospital climbs within 60 minutes, not because of the injuries, but because the system that knows how to fix you just forgot. Now step outside the hospital. Your city just became a museum of stopped machines. Every traffic light in the coordinated grid freezes on its last color. In a place like Seattle with its synchronized light system, that means a green wave turns into a wall of metal within 3 cycles. Intersections become metal knots that cannot be untangled. Fuel pumps stop working because they need satellite authorization and internet verification for every credit card swipe. You cannot pay, so you cannot pump. So the ambulance that could still drive does not have enough diesel. The city is not dead. It is just paralyzed in exactly the position it held at the moment of disconnect, like a photograph that slowly starts to smell. Hour 3 brings the first real panic. Not because people are suddenly animals, but because they are suddenly hungry and the grocery stores have no way to sell food. Cash still exists, but the register cannot verify prices, cannot process taxes, cannot open the cash drawer without an override. Most modern stores do not even have manual price tags. A barcode without a database is just a zebra pattern. So the manager faces a choice: give away food and lose their job if the system comes back, or lock the doors and watch people get desperate. Usually, they lock the doors. A modern grocery store is 3 days of food pretending to be a month of abundance, and it just lost the one thing that tells it what is coming: absolutely nothing. But food is not the real problem yet. The real problem is information. No one knows anything. Is this a local outage, a national attack, a solar flare? Without the internet, we are back to rumor, which travels exactly as fast as a running human. Someone says they heard it was a cyber attack. Someone else says it was a missile strike. No one can confirm, no one can deny. The absence of a shared reality is its own kind of disaster, and it spreads faster than the real one. The first night is when the deeper systems start to groan. The electrical grid is a miracle of synchronization. Every power plant, every substation, every wind farm and solar array chatters constantly with a central brain that balances load and frequency. That brain lives on the internet. When it goes silent, individual plants go into island mode, which is a polite way of saying they panic alone. Frequency drifts, voltage sags, automatic breakers trip, not because of physical damage, but because the constant digital heartbeat that says everything is fine suddenly stops. And without it, the grid does not know if it is alive. Power plants start to drift because the grid needs a constant digital heartbeat saying everything is fine. And suddenly, no one is saying anything, which is a lot like a marriage right before the divorce. Blackouts begin to cascade across regions, not from a single failure point, but from 1,000 tiny confusions that add up to darkness. Hospitals switch to generators, and then those generators run out of fuel because no one could order more. The truly cruel part is that these generators are tested weekly, but the tests assume the fuel trucks will arrive. Hour 10. The financial system is not just money, it is a continuous global conversation about who owes what to whom, settled in microseconds across 6 different clearinghouses. That conversation just stopped mid-sentence. Every pending transaction, every wire transfer, every stock trade, every mortgage payment is now frozen in a legal gray zone. Did you buy that house? Did you sell that stock? The answer depends on the exact millisecond the internet died, and no one will ever know. The screen in the lobby said $2.4 million last night. Today, it is just a really expensive rectangle with a crack in the corner. And your retirement is now a story you tell yourself. The worst part is not the loss. It is the uncertainty. 1 billion contracts just became memories, and the courts will spend a decade arguing about which memories count. By hour 16, the supply chain is a skeleton. Modern logistics is just the internet with trucks. Without real-time tracking, drivers do not know where to pick up loads. Warehouses do not know what is arriving. Refrigerated containers sit in ports with no customs clearance because the paperwork exists only in a cloud that no longer has a sky. Fresh produce rots in 53-foot trailers, while grocery store shelves 3 miles away stay empty. The food is right there, closer than it has ever been, but the system that knows it exists is blind. Truckers start to park their rigs at rest stops, not because they are lazy, but because driving without a destination is just burning fuel. Fuel that no one can buy. So the engines go quiet, and the cold chain dies with them. Daybreak does not bring relief, it brings the smell. Without the internet, water treatment plants cannot monitor chemical levels remotely. Pumping stations cannot report flow rates, sanitation systems start to back up, not catastrophically, but persistently. Garbage collection stops because the dispatch system was a glorified group chat with trucks. 2 million people forgetting how interconnected they are does not smell like freedom, it smells like garbage. And this is the moment when the biggest consequence finally becomes visible. The social network is gone, and it turns out that was the real operating system, not social media, the actual social network of human relationships. We suddenly realize we do not know our neighbors' phone numbers. We do not know where our friends live, only their handles. We built the most connected civilization in history on a foundation of sand, and the tide just came in. The climax is not a single event. It is a creeping realization that spreads across the silent world. We are alone, together, in a way no generation has ever been. The strongest survivors are not the ones with generators or guns. They are the ones who already knew the names on their block. A neighborhood where someone knocks on doors to check on the elderly, where someone remembers who was alone, where a paper list of phone numbers still exists on a refrigerator door. That neighborhood functions. Everything else is just a waiting room for the next bad thing. What do you actually understand differently now? You understand that the internet is not a luxury or a toy. It is the central nervous system of the modern world. Every critical system, healthcare, transport, energy, food, finance, runs on top of a fragile, invisible layer of trust and light. And when that layer vanishes, the machines do not rise up. They just sit there, loyal, waiting for a command that will never come, while humans look at each other and realize they do not know what to do. The most uncomfortable truth from this first day is that civilization is not the things we built. It is the conversation we have about them. When the conversation stops, the things are just things, and we are just people who forgot how to talk. The satisfying payoff is not a neat ending, it is a quiet one. The systems that were supposed to never fail failed exactly as predicted, not with an explosion, but with a silence so complete that you could hear your own heart beat again for the first time in years. And in that silence, you had to ask yourself a very simple question. Who do you actually know? And what would you actually do if no one was telling you? That missing ping in your pocket is not a notification. It is a reminder that you are alive, you are still here, and so is everyone else. Just without the translation layer that made it feel safe. If you liked this video, there is more like this, so follow the channel for the next one.